Hello, I thought we'd use today to review some adding strategies. So let's take a look at what I have here. The first thing is our problem. We have our problem 9 plus 4. Now, I know there's lots of you that can do this in your head, but for those of you that can't do it in your head, I want to show you some strategies that you can use to come up with your answer, because we are going to be sending home some fluency checks for you, so I want to make sure that you're doing your addition problems correctly, and I want you to have several different ways to do it. So let's take a look at the first way. It says use counters. Now, when you're at home, you can use anything as a counter. You can use some of your toys as counters. You can use pennies as counters. You can use macaroni as counters. So there's lots of different things you can use. I'm just going to use some of my magnets as counters. So what I want to do is I want to do 9 plus 4. But the one thing I want you to remember is as I use my counters, make sure you use the 10 frame to lay out your counters, because that's a great way to keep you organized. So let's take a look. Let's do 9 first. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There's my 9. Now I have to add 4 more. Let's add 4 more. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So how many do I have now? Well, let's take a look. I have 10 here because it filled in our whole entire 10 frame, plus 3 more. So we have 10, 11, 12, 13. So we think 13 is our answer, right? I'm just going to put a 13 right here just so we think that that's our answer. Now, let me show you a different way to do it. We've been talking about punching it out. We do that all the time in school. We're going to punch the bigger number and then count on. And that's what we're going to do. So in this case, we have our 9. So we're going to punch 9 and then count up 4. And the number that we land on should be our answer, and we're hoping that we land on 13 again. So we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, 13. So far, so good. So you can use your counters and you can punch it out. Now, counting on is very similar to punching it out. So if I start with 9, I have my 9 here. I could again use counters to help me to count on, or I can just write it down, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I can put it in my head, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If I do use counters, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to bring my counters over here, and what I want to do is I want to push them as I count them. So I have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Which brings me back to one other thing I want to show you. If I'm over here and I have my 9 plus 4, I already know there's 9 here, don't I? So if I'm counting these, do I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? No, the answer is no. You already know there's 9, so we can go 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's what we're going to do over here, same thing. Last is the more complicated way, and this is the way that we learned not too long ago, but it seemed to be a little more complicated for some of you, and it is a longer strategy, but we should still come up with the same answer. So let me show you. So if I take 9 plus 4, okay, what I want to do is I want to try to make a 10. The way I do that is I have to break down this 4, and we're going to put a caret underneath it, and I need to figure out how many I need to give to 9 to make it a 10. And if you said 1, you would be correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 1 here. But I want you now to look at this. I called this the number bond way because I want you now to look at it as if it's a number bond. So if it's a number bond, I have 4 as my total, and I have 1 as my part. Well, what's my other part? Well, I can figure that out in a couple different ways. I could punch my 1 and count up to 4, or I can punch 4 and count backwards 1, which seems to be a little quicker. So I'm going to go 4, 3. So 3 is my other number. I'm going to put the 3 here. So I have a number bond. What I'm going to do is I'm going to circle my friend of 10. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus the number I didn't use, which is 3. So 10 plus 3, like we said earlier, is 13. So again, that's another way for you to figure that out. If you don't want to write it all out, one way you can look at it is this. We have 9 plus 4. I have to take 1 away from the 4. That means it's 3. Then I give 1 to the 9, which makes it a 10. So if I knew 9 plus 4 is 13, 10 plus 3 is also going to equal 13, because I'm not adding any more to it or taking any away. It's a balancing act. You're taking 1 from the 4, but you're giving it to the 9. So those are your strategies to use when you're doing your adding. So when you do your fluency check, make sure that if you get stuck, there's several different strategies you could use. So make sure that you use one of these strategies. I hope this helps.